Getting a flat tire is the most common mechanical issue that happens to bicycles. Luckily, with some affordable tools and a little knowledge, it's easy to fix a flat yourself. There are a few tools that you will need to fix your flat. Tire levers, seen on the left, usually come in sets of 2 or 3. Make certain that you get at least 2 of them. Second from the left, you can see a patch kit and its contents. If you don't want to patch the puncture, you can also buy a new tube to install. Next, we have pliers, which you will need to safely remove any sharp objects that are in your tire. And on the right, you can see various tools that you might need to remove your wheel. The tool that you will need depends on your specific bike, but it's usually going to be either a 15mm wrench or an Allen key. Finally, you'll need a bicycle pump. I strongly recommend getting one with a pressure gauge that shows you the air pressure in the tire. It's important to know about the different parts of the wheel before you start working on one. The wheel itself consists of everything metal: the axle, the hub, the spokes, and the rim. The rubber ring that goes around the outside of the wheel is the tire, and inside the tire there's a tube that holds air. You'll see how these things all fit together in a moment. To fix a flat tire, the first step is to remove your wheel from the frame. To do so, loosen the nuts or bolt that are holding your wheel in place, or open up your quick release lever. If you are removing the rear wheel, you'll need to pull the derailleur out of the way. Once you've done that, you can pull the wheel up and out of the frame and unhook the chain from the gears. Once you have the wheel out of the frame, you need to get the tire off of the wheel. Slide one of your tire levers between the tire and the rim. Then, push the end of the lever down towards the spokes to pry the edge of the tire off of the rim. Here's the same thing from a different angle. Do the same thing with a second tire lever a few inches away from the first one. Then you can run one of your tire levers around the rim to fully remove that side of the tire. Now that you have one side of the tire off, you can reach inside and pull the tube out of the tire. You will have to pull the tube's valve out of the rim. Then you can fully remove the tire from the rim. Carefully check the tire inside and out for any small, sharp objects such as glass or wire that may have caused the flat. Remember that you're looking for something sharp, so resist the urge to feel for it with your hands. If you find anything, you can remove it carefully with pliers. You should also check your rim tape, which goes around the inside of your rim. Make certain that it's intact, that it hasn't shifted or torn. To reassemble your wheel, you need to put a little bit of air in your tube. You want it to have just enough air to be round instead of flat, but you don't want it to actually get bigger. Tuck one edge of the tire back into the rim. Make certain to check your tire for a direction. If your tire has directional arrows on it, they should point in the same direction that your tire will rotate when it's on the bike. Next, you are going to insert the valve into the rim and tuck the tube into the tire. Starting at the valve and moving in both directions, tuck the other edge of the tire into the rim. Be very careful when you're doing this not to pinch the tube between the tire and the rim. Make certain that that tube is really tucked up inside of the tire. You should avoid using tools to reinstall the tire because they might puncture the tube. Instead, if the tire is very hard to get on, use the fat part of your palms to gradually inch the tire over the edge of the rim. Once your wheel is reassembled, it's time to reattach it to your frame. You're going to slide the axle into the dropouts, which are these slots in the frame. If it's a rear wheel, pull the derailleur out of the way and hook the chain back onto the gears. Then you can slide the axle into the dropouts. Check that your wheel is centered in the frame. If it's a front wheel, the axle should be all the way into the dropouts on both sides. If it's a rear wheel, pull the axle all the way into the dropout on the gear side. We call that the drive side. But then on the other side, it can be wherever it has to be in that slot to allow the wheel to be centered in the frame. Once you have the wheel centered, tighten down the nuts or bolt that attach your wheel to the frame, or tighten up your quick release. Make certain that you tighten things quite firmly to ensure that your wheel is secure in the frame. Finally, pump up your tires and do one last visual check to make certain that the tire is seated well with no bulges or flat spots. Once you've done that, you're ready to ride.